To watch these important lessons, subscribe to DP Education's YouTube channel right now. Click on the bell icon to stay updated on the latest lessons. Sri Lanka's largest free online school, DP Education.
So my dear children, in the earlier chapters we discussed several things regarding the natural disasters, and over there we discussed about the cyclones, and then after that we discussed about earthquakes. So this is the within this part, my dear children, we'll be measuring how to get the intensity of an earthquake. So here intensity means we're going to measure out the strength of an earthquake, right? Strength means actually like within like the we can measure the disastrous condition like up to a certain range, right? That means if a certain earthquake is going to happen on a certain area, how much disastrous would it be, right? So that kind of an idea is given out by the intensity of an earthquake. So let's head on to see now how to measure this intensity and what are the units that we used in here to measure the intensity of an earthquake. Okay, right. So here you are given the topic intensity of earthquakes. So at the points at which the tectonic plates have collide impact, the layers of rocks bend. So you have studied about the tectonic plates and the movements regarding the tectonic plate borders, right? So within these borders, you know that tectonic plates are moving relative to each other. So in that case, sometimes, my dear children, these tectonic plates will have the ability to slide past each other or to come in contact, and like they have the ability to move towards each other. In that case, what will happen? The rock layers, right? The rock layers are getting collided each other. So because of the collision of these rock layers, my dear children, they get bent, right? These rock layers are getting bent. So because of that bending, right, you know that rock layers are getting, cracked or getting broken down because of the immense force or the energy released because of the contact, right? So here it is given, at the points at which the tectonic plates have collide impact, the layers of rocks are getting bent. So when two layers are getting contact at each other, you know that they are getting bent because of the energy possessed by the contaction, right? So when the force exerted to bend them exceeds the yield point of the rocks, the rocky layers break. This point of breakage is the focus of the earthquakes. Now, my dear children, when you take a certain rock layer, right, when they are getting collided each other, when you take two different rock layers, when they are getting collided each other, we discussed that rocks are getting bent. So when these things are getting bent at a certain point, the yield point, right, that means the point where the rocks are getting broken. So that point, at that point, rocks are getting started to break. So this point where the rocks are starting to break down is referred as the yield point. Okay, this point of breakage is the focus, right, or the yield point, or else, right, if you take a certain earthquake like this, at the focus point or at the yield point, here the layers are getting broken, rock layers are getting broken. Okay, so the point on earth above the focus is the epicenter. Now when you take the focus over here, at that point, right, you know that rocks are getting broken down. So the point exactly above it on the surface of the earth is referred to as the epicenter. It is called as the epicenter. So epicenter is the point above the focus, right? Point above the focus, which is placed at the surface of the earth. Focus is the point where the rock layers are getting broken down, right? At the point where the rock layers are getting broken down is referred to as the focus. So exactly right, exactly at the point of the focus on the surface of the earth, you can identify the epicenter of an earthquake. Okay, epicenter. So as you can see within the figure, it is given, this is the focus, I mean this is the place where the rock layers are getting started to break. So at that point, exactly on the top of the surface of the earth, you can observe the epicenter. So here this is the epicenter. So you can observe the waves which are running here and there, the body waves. Body waves means within inside we can observe the body waves within the earth, and these are the surface waves which are running along the surface, my dear children, right, within an earthquake. So here you can identify the parts regarding an earthquake within this figure. So I hope that you got the idea about the focus and the epicenter. Okay, really simple, my dear children. Once again, let's see. Focus is the point where the rocky layers are getting broken down, right? So at the top of the surface, you can identify, right, at the top of the surface, my dear children, you can identify the epicenter exactly on the focus or the focal point, exactly at the focal point on the surface of the earth. You can identify the epicenter of an earthquake. Then within the interior structure, body waves are running, and on the surface waves are running like this, right? Okay then, so let's head on to see the next one then. So seismic waves are spread in all directions from the focus of an earthquake. These waves convey energy along the surface of the earth and also through the interior of the earth. Now let me take you to the previous one once again. So here this is the focus and this is the epicenter. We assume that the earthquake is getting triggered from this point, from this line. Actually the earthquake is getting triggered. So that means, my dear children, the seismic waves created because of the earthquake is starting from this point and running along the surface and also interior structure of the earth, right? So that's why these things are referred to as surface waves, because those things are running on the surface. These are body waves which are running interior in the structure of the earth. So at the point of the epicenter and the focus, my dear children, on this line of action, right, you can observe the waves which are running, these seismic waves which are running within this within the earth and also on the surface of the earth, right? These waves are called as the seismic waves. Seismic waves, right? So seismic waves spread in all directions from the focus of an earthquake. These waves convey energy along the surface of the earth and also through the interior of the earth. Now the other thing is that, my dear children, these seismic waves are going to convey or to transmit energy from the focus or from the epicenter to all the directions in the planet Earth, right? And also it can be observed within the structure, within interior part of the earth and also on the surface of the earth as well, right? So it carries heavy amount of energy, because you know that when the two layers, right, when two layers means here the tectonic plates, when they are getting moved, actually this movement is like in centimeters or millimeters, but however, because of the mass, right, because of the heavy mass of the tectonic plate, the kinetic energy possessed by the layers is going to be very high. Actually it's immense. Even though it has been moved for like millimeters or centimeters, the kinetic energy carried out by that particular movement is very high because of the very high mass possessed by the tectonic plates. So therefore, because of an earthquake, my dear children, large amount of energy, right, large amount of energy, very extreme amount of energy is getting created within the two layers. So these energy, or this energy is getting transmitted throughout the surface and the interior structure of the earth as seismic waves. So seismic waves are the ones which carry this immense energy from one place to another. Actually, the energy is getting distributed all around the place, all around the area where the earthquake is going to happen, right? That's why actually within a place which is somewhat near to the earthquake will take, like heavy disastrous conditions. It's mainly because the energy carried out to that places, closer to the places which the earthquake has happened, is going to be very high, right? So because of that high energy, several disastrous conditions may occur to constructions and also for the people as well, right? Okay, so always remember, right, the energy possessed out by these earthquakes is very high, right? So the energy is being transmitted through the seismic waves which is going to run on the surface and as well as within the interior structure of the earth. Okay, right. Then the strength of these seismic waves can be measured by the seismometers installed at various places of the earth. And now there are seismometers. So seismometers are the ones which can be used to measure the strength of a seismic wave. So within our planet Earth, there are several seismic waves which have been installed in order to measure the strength of these seismic waves, my dear children, right? So seismic waves are created because of an earthquake, right? So to measure these seismic waves, seismometers have been installed. Okay, seismometers have been installed. So strength of these seismic waves can be measured by the seismometers installed at various places of the earth. The apparatus which automatically records the information related to seismic waves is called the seismography. So my dear children, there is a certain instrument. So this particular instrument can automatically record the information which is collected by the seismic waves. Actually, they're going to calculate or they're going to take certain measurements by using the seismic wave. I mean the strength. According to the strength, there's a pen-like thing. You can observe it over here. There's a pen-like thing like this. Now, according to the vibration given out by the seismic wave, this pen-like thing is moving here and there and giving out certain information regarding the seismic wave, like the strength and the capacity, and like that way several information are printed on this particular screen, right? So automatically it records the information related to the seismic wave, right? So this kind of a thing is referred to as seismography, right? This is referred to as the seismography. So the apparatus which is automatically record the information related to a seismic wave is referred to as the seismography. So you can observe the seismography over here. So I think sometimes if you have seen an earthquake within television or within any kind of a mass media, or else in a video at least, I think you have observed this kind of a structure, this kind of a machine, right? A roller kind of a thing is moving, like it's rotating. Then there is a pen-like kind of a thing, a needle kind of a structure. So during the seismic waves, right, or when there is a seismic wave running along the surface, this particular structure, like pen-like structure, is moving here and there within the paper. So by that way, my dear children, the strength and all the other information which is related to the seismic wave is being printed on this particular sheet of paper. So the scientists have the ability to read that thing and give out the information related to the seismic wave. So by that way, scientists are going to decide whether this earthquake is a strong one or else is a tremor, right? So this is how, right, we get the information related to a seismic wave by using the seismography. Okay, right then. The scale that is calculated on the basis of the information recorded by the seismography and the damage inflicted to buildings, ground and humans is called the Richter scale. Richter scale. So, Richter scale is the scale which is giving out a certain measurement related to the damage caused to the environment. Right? Here environment means buildings, people, animals, all the other substances included within the biosphere. Right? So Richter scale, my dear children, it is a certain kind of a scale which is giving out a certain idea about how, right, or how come, or else like the disaster, it is giving out the disastrous condition regarding an earthquake. Like how much disastrous is this thing is, right? So that particular idea is given out by the Richter scale. Okay, how much dangerous is it? If a certain earthquake is going to happen within the surface or within the planet Earth, how much dangerous is it? Okay, like that way an information is given, okay, about the strength and about the disastrous condition, right? So this scale has been introduced by Charles F. Richter in 1953. So this Richter scale was introduced to the world. This measurement regarding the disastrous condition of an earthquake is being introduced to the world by the scientist Charles F. Richter in 1953, my dear children. Okay. Table gives a short description of the intensities of the earthquakes and their results as against the Richter scale values. So there's a table given in here. You can find out the Richter scale in here at your left hand side, my dear children. So according to that value, according to that particular Richter scale value, the result is given at the right hand side column. So let's see like what kind of an effect is given out by this Richter scale, right? According to the values, right? What kind of an effect is given out by the Richter scale? Let's see. So first one, if the Richter scale value is about 2.0 to 3.5, then actually it is not felt by human, but it is recorded in the seismography. So it's been recorded on the seismography, the seismic wave, the strength of the seismic wave is being recorded and the information related to the seismic wave is being recorded. But however, my dear children, if the seismic wave is around, if the seismic wave has a strength around 2.0 to 3.5 in the Richter scale, then we won't be able to feel that kind of a seismic wave, right? But however, sometimes, my dear children, because you know that there are some certain animals which can feel the vibrations very well, okay? There are some certain types of animals, even they can observe, they can sometimes observe some kind of things. You know that we have the ability to observe only certain kind of light from our environment. There's a thing called electromagnetic spectrum. Over there we can see all the kinds of waves that is in our environment in the electromagnetic spectrum. I think you have heard about the ultraviolet rays, infrared rays, X-rays, like that. I think you have heard about these kinds of waves. So all of these waves belong to the special kind of a wave, special kind of an energy waves. So this is referred to as the electromagnetic spectrum. You will be learning about these things when you go further with your grades, like in grade 11, right? So this is just for a brief. So there are some certain animals which can detect these rays, special rays. So we have the ability to only observe 7 different waves. Okay, 7 different waves. These are the colors in the rainbow, my dear children. Actually, white light is composed of these 7, right? These 7 light rays. So we have only certain visibility range. But however, there is a vast area of electromagnetic waves which are emitting to our planet Earth from different sources. So we don't have that ability to observe those other kinds of electromagnetic waves. But however, there are some certain animals which can observe. In the same way, my dear children, you know that the normal frequency which the humans can hear is 20 to 20,000 hertz. That's the normal audible range of sound, right? So this is also a vibration, no? Here seismic waves are also regarding a certain vibration, a wave. So my dear children, the wave which is given out by the earthquake, or the seismic wave which is created because of the earthquake, even though that wave is not getting detected by our ears or by us, there are some certain animals who can detect these things. So therefore, what will happen? Sometimes strange behaviors of the animals could be observed, right? Sometimes, if a certain earthquake is going to happen in this much of a scale, okay, even though we can't feel it, animals can feel. So therefore, their behaviors are going to be different rather than the usual way. So by that way also we can identify, right? By that way also we can identify the effect given out, or the sometimes we can identify the earthquakes, my dear children. Sometimes, actually, not only for the earthquakes, my dear children, but also for each and every natural disaster. Some animals are very sensitive. I think you have heard about, there is an information given like during the tsunami waves which hit the Sri Lanka. Before hitting the tsunami waves to Sri Lanka, animals were behaving very strange, right? There were several animals near the coastal areas. They were behaving very, in a strange manner. It's because, my dear children, they can feel the danger which is coming out in the near future. So that's why they are acting strange. So not only for the earthquakes, my dear children, but also for each and every natural disaster, right? These animals, some animals are going to give out a certain a strange kind of a behavior. By that way also sometimes we can identify whether there is a natural disaster, or else is there any kind of a disaster which is going to happen in the future. I mean, like in future means like in 20 to or 30 minutes later. Okay, so behaviors of the animals are also can be considered to find out certain information regarding the natural disasters. Right then, so let me come to the table once more. So if the Richter scale is 2.0 to 3.5, then we won't be able to observe it. But however, right, it's been printed, or it's been given, or it's recorded in the seismography, right? Then the next one given, then the Richter scale value is 3.5 to 5.5, 3.5 to 5.5. So it is being felt by everybody. That means we can observe, right, our legs, they are getting shaken down, and even our body is getting vibrated. Like that we can feel, right? We can feel the vibration given out by the seismic wave, right? From 3.5 to 5.5, it is being felt by everybody. Then 5.5 to 7.3. If the Richter scale is from 5.5 to 7.3, then the buildings may be destroyed. The buildings are going to destroy, right? Within this scale, my dear children, the buildings are going to destroy. Okay. Then 7.4 to 8.0, a big damage may be caused. Very big damage. That means, my dear children, heavy buildings may collapse. The earth will tear and will tumble apart. Okay. Then heavy damages can occur to smaller buildings, and also for the large buildings as well, and as well as for the other properties like cars and vehicles and machines and so on. And because of these breaking down, and because of the breakage, right, the people will suffer heavily. Especially several people will get underneath these wreckage, and their lives will be, it's very difficult, and it's very hard to save these guys if they are under the wreckage. So that's the main thing which is going to happen within an earthquake. Actually, it's not the earthquake which is going to kill or which is going to destroy, or which is going to harm the people, but however, the buildings and wreckage are the ones which are going to harm people in heavy extent. Okay. Then, my dear children, if the value of the Richter scale of a particular earthquake is greater than 8.0, then it is a complete destruction. All the things are getting destroyed, right? It is going to be a complete destruction. So these are the values regarding the Richter scale and the result that we can observe according to that Richter scale, my dear children, right? Okay then, so let's head on to see the next one. So you are given with the topic world's regions prone to earthquakes. So I think we have learned about this thing in the grade 7. Can you remember when we are discussing about the tectonic plates and plate tectonics? Can you remember we studied about a certain thing called the ring of fire? Actually, that's the area where large amount of earthquakes are going to happen, right? Because that area is referring to a certain range. I mean, like it's a, it's an area where we can observe the borders or the boundaries related to the tectonic plates. So we have studied about these things actually in the grade 7, my dear children. Now let's see, actually now we are in grade 9 now. So let's see what are the additional knowledge that we can take from this map. Okay. So here, study well the map given indicating the regions where strong earthquakes occurred in the world. So this red color regions shows, right, the red color regions, those regions are showing, right, where large amount of earthquakes has happened, right, like in the recent future. So as you can see here, my dear children, you can observe the margins of the tectonic plates in the black color, right? In the black color you can observe the margins. Within these red color areas you can observe the places where the earthquakes has happened within the recent past. Okay, so as you can see, it's very clear to us that most of these, actually not most, like every kind of a earthquake has occurred, each and every kind of earthquake has occurred within the boundaries, I mean like near to boundaries of the tectonic plates. See, so here within the black color you can observe the boundary. All the red dots are being placed near to that boundaries. See, it's very clear. All these things, all the red dots are being placed near the boundaries. So by that way you can come into a conclusion, a quite easy conclusion, that near boundaries of the tectonic plates, earthquakes are going to occur more often, right? So here you are given with the ring, you are given with the image of ring of fire. So this is the ring of fire. You can observe it very clearly. So that's an area where plenty of earthquakes going to happen. It's mainly because the ring of fire area is located within two tectonic plate boundaries, my dear children, right? Okay then, so study well the map given indicating the regions where strong earthquakes occurred in the world. So we have studied it. As you can see, it's very clear to us that near the boundaries of tectonic plates, more amount of earthquakes are going to happen because of the tectonic plate movements relative to each other, right? We have studied about the movements regarding the tectonic plates, right? So because of those movements, my dear children, earthquakes are more often be observed within the tectonic plate margins, right? Okay then. So from the above map, it may be clear to you that earthquakes have occurred mostly in the broader land regions. So like I said, broader land regions, within the broader lands, I mean like within the borders of the tectonic plates, most of them or most of the earthquakes has occurred. Of them, most of the earthquakes have broken out in the region called Pacific Ring Fire, right? Pacific Fire Ring. So ring of fire, can you remember? So ring of fire or the Pacific Fire Ring, at that place or at that area, most of the earthquakes has occurred. So you can observe that ring of fire within the figure, see. Then from the map it can be seen that the region is border of very large Pacific tectonic plate. So it is a border, right? It is a border to very large Pacific tectonic plate. This is the Pacific tectonic plate, my dear children. So within the Pacific tectonic plate, on that border, you can observe large number of earthquakes which has happened. So that means, my dear, that the reason for that thing is, my dear children, when you take the Pacific plate, it is the largest plate, right? It is a very large plate. As you can see, the tectonic plate, the Pacific plate is very large. So therefore, within that region, we can observe large number of earthquakes, right? So this border is the one which is referred as the Pacific fire ring or the Pacific ring of fire, right? So from the map, it can be seen that the region is border of very large Pacific tectonic plate. So within the border of the Pacific tectonic plate, we can observe large number of earthquakes. So this is referred to as the ring of fire, okay, or the Pacific fire ring, right then. So you are given with a table under the extra knowledge. Let's see. Table shows the information on strong earthquakes that placed during the past few years. So it is giving out certain information regarding the earthquakes which has happened. So when you take the past years, it is giving out the information regarding the earthquakes and the damage was caused and the area which the earthquakes has happened. So let's see what are those places and how much is the Richter scale value and how much is the disaster. I mean, like, the disaster is given by the number of deaths, right? Now let's see. So first of all, value on the Richter scale given, the first and foremost earthquake, right? These are somewhat disastrous ones, my dear children, right? Small ones are not being given in here. These are somewhat disastrous earthquakes which has happened within the recent past. Okay, so let's see. 6.4 value on the Richter scale, 6.4. So 6.4 Richter scale earthquake has happened on 2004, right? On 2004 February 24th, right? February that 24th on the Morocco region, and the number of deaths were 631, right? 631 deaths. So 6.4 is the scale, right? Richter scale. So I think it is somewhat disastrous. Buildings are getting destroyed in here, right? Next one, 9.1 Richter scale. This is the earthquake which occurred within the Java Sumatra region, my dear children. Because of this earthquake which happened in the region of Sumatra, Sri Lanka suffered with the tsunami waves, right? So 9.1, 2004 12/26, December 26th of 2004. So Sri Lanka suffered tsunami waves from that particular earthquake. So the number of deaths were like 250,000, large number of deaths. Then 6.4 scale on February 22nd, 2005 within the region Iran, and the number of deaths were 612. Then once again within the Java Sumatra region on 3rd of March 2005, right? On 28th of March 2005 within the Java Sumatra region, once again another earthquake has happened under the Richter scale of 8.6, and the deaths were around 1,313. Then 7.6, 2005, 10/8 in Pakistan, 87,000 deaths, right? Then 6.3 scale, 2006, May 26th, Java Islands, right? Once again, 5,782 deaths. So when you look at these things, my dear children, if within the Asian region, these Java Islands and Sumatra region are like mostly getting affected because of the earthquakes, right? Java, Sumatra regions are mostly getting affected because of the earthquakes. It's because, my dear children, these areas are located somewhat near to tectonic plate borders. Okay. Next one. So 8.01, somewhat, a larger value. So when you observe the table, you can observe that only few of the earthquakes which runs more than 7, like 9.1 here, 7.6, 8, 7.9, 8.1 and 7.6, and here also there is another one, 8.6, right? So all of these things are very destructive, my dear children, as it is somewhat greater than 7, so it is somewhat destructive. So the next one we were discussing in here, so 8.0 Richter scale, right? An earthquake occurred in the Peru region on 2007, 8:15. The deaths were around 519. Then in China, right, another earthquake has happened within the 2008 year, right? May 12th. Then the number of deaths were around 69,197. Then 6.3 scale, 2009-46 at Italy, and the deaths were around 308. Then 8.1 Samoa Islands on 2009, 929, 189 deaths. Then once again 7.6 magnitude on the Richter scale happened on the region of Sumatra, resulting 1,115 deaths on 2009, 9/30th. Okay, so let's head on to see the next content then. So when you look at the table, there were like several earthquakes which has happened within the recent past, my dear children. So these details are given in here. Now let's see once again. So 7.1, 7.0 on 2010, 112 on the Haiti Islands, result in 160,000 deaths, right? 7.0 scale of a earthquake. Then once again 8.8 scale earthquake in the same year, right? A month later has happened within the Chile region, resulting 1,525 deaths. Then, my dear children, 6.9, 2010, the same year on China, right, resulting 698 deaths. Then within the same year, once again on the 10th month, Indonesia, resulting 408 deaths. The magnitude was 7.7. So after that, on 2011, February 21st, 6.1 scale of a earthquake has happened in the New Zealand region, resulting 185 deaths. Right, my dear children. So let me explain about this 7.9, right, value, Richter scale 7.9 magnitude of earthquake which has happened on the March 11th of 2011 during the or within the Japan region, resulting 18,184 deaths. So this is somewhat special. The specialty here is that because of the tsunami waves created within this, right, within this earthquake, because of the earthquake, right, the Japan faced another disaster. The Fukushima power plant, nuclear power plant, was completely got destroyed because of this earthquake. Actually, it has happened because of the tsunami waves which came after that. But the nuclear disaster was terrible. The nuclear power plant was completely destroyed, and those nuclear, those nuclear waste and all the other radioactive substances were exposed to the environment. So this particular earthquake was a quite disastrous one because of following a tsunami, right? What has happened? The Fukushima power plant also got destroyed and radioactive materials came out to the environment. Actually, Japan suffered like in a heavy loss, right, in clearing out the nuclear waste and also in rebuilding the nation, right? So this was a quite disastrous one because of the several effects, after effects given out by the earthquake. Okay, right. Then the next one on the Myanmar region, resulting 150 deaths, right? An earthquake happened within the Richter scale of 6.9 on the 2011 March 24th. Okay, so 6.9, India-Nepal border, right? India and Nepal border, resulting 111 deaths on 2011 9/18. Then 6.4 Richter scale 2012 8/11, Iran region, resulting 306 deaths. 6.6 2013 4/20 in the China region, resulting 193 deaths. Then 7.1 2013 10/15 in the Philippine region, resulting 222 deaths. Then 6.2 on 2014 8/3 China region, once again resulting 617 deaths. Then 7.8 magnitude 2015 4/25 within the Nepal region, resulting 9,018 deaths. Okay, then once again within the same region on the Richter scale of 7.3 on 5/12 of 2015, right, within the same region, Nepal region, occurred an earthquake resulting 218 deaths. Then in Afghanistan, there was an earthquake on 2015 10/26 on the Richter scale of 7.5, resulting 398 deaths. Then at the Ecuador region on 2016 4/16, there was a earthquake of 7.8 Richter scale, resulting 673 deaths. Then resulting 297 deaths finally, right? According to this slide, the final one is, my dear children, resulting 297 deaths in Italy region on 2016 8/24, 6.2 strength of earthquake has happened, right? So these are several disastrous earthquakes which happened within the recent past, right, my dear children? So as you can see here, so these tables, let me take you to the previous ones once again. So all of these information regarding some strong earthquakes that took place within our earth within the recent past. So there were like several earthquakes which has happened like this. We have discussed all of these things. So by looking at these earthquakes, you can clearly observe that within the Asian region, my dear children, most of the times the earthquakes are going to happen within the Japan, China and Java, Sumatra region, right? So actually the earthquake which has occurred on 2004 12/26, so that earthquake which happened within the Java, Sumatra region, actually a Richter scale of 9.1. So this was the main reason for the occurrence of tsunami waves in Sri Lanka as well, right? So as Asian countries, we should be aware of, right? As an Asian country, we should be aware of these earthquakes, because some earthquakes can even harm Sri Lanka as well, not by the earthquake but by the tsunami waves. Okay, right then, so let's head on to see the other content then. So you are given with 3 questions. How many earthquakes have occurred during the past 13 years which above 7.4 in Richter scale? So within the past 13 years, how much have occurred, right? Within the past 13 years, how much have occurred which is greater than in 7.4 Richter scale? 7.4 Richter scale. Let's see. So will underline these things. 7.4. They're asking about 7.4, right? Yes, 7.4. Let's see. So here 1, 2, 7.3, no? So here 1, 2, 3, then 7.4, 7.4, 7.4. Here there is another one, 7.9, 7.7, then 8.8. So here there are like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. Let's take the other one. Then 7, right? 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, right? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 and 7. Then in here 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 and 13. So there were like 13 such events, right? So 13 earthquakes. Next one. What are the countries in which those earthquakes occurred? Right, the countries which these earthquakes occurred. So let's write down the countries. Starting from here, Ecuador, Afghanistan, Nepal. So right, Nepal, Afghanistan. So Ecuador, Afghanistan, then Nepal, then Japan, New Zealand, no, Japan, Indonesia and Chile, right? Japan, Indonesia and Japan, okay, Indonesia and Chile, yes, Chile. Then how many are there? Ecuador, Afghanistan, Nepal, 3. Ecuador, Nepal, Afghanistan, 3. Then Japan, Indonesia and Chile. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yes, Japan, Indonesia and Chile. Then let's go for the next previous one. Then Sumatra, then Samoa Island, then China, then Peru, then Pakistan, again Sumatra, okay? So we'll be needing to write down only 1, 2, and in here 3, China and Peru, right? That's it, right? And Pakistan, yeah. The other 2 once again happened with the Sumatra region, no? So Pakistan, Peru, China, Samoa Island and Sumatra. So we'll write down Pakistan, Peru, China, Sumatra Pakistan, Peru, China, Sumatra, and there was another Pakistan, Peru, China, Sumatra, and Samoa Island. Right. Let's see once again the regions. Ecuador, then Afghanistan, okay, 2, then Nepal, 3, then Japan, 4, then Indonesia, 5, then Chile, 6, then Sumatra, 7, Samoa Island, 8, China, 9, Peru, 10, then Pakistan, 11, then Sumatra, once again the same things. So there were 11 countries. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, right? So 11 countries. So next one, what is the country in which the highest number of earthquakes have occurred? Highest number of earthquakes. Let's once again check that one. So here, Nepal, there is 2. Within Nepal, there's 2. Then in China, there is 1, 2. Once again, in China, there is another 2. Then Nepal 2, China 2. Then, my dear children, we'll go for the previous one. Sumatra, then China 3. This another one in here, China. Then Sumatra 1, 2, 3 years. So 3 earthquake has happened in China and 3 earthquakes has happened within the Sumatra region, right? So Sumatra 1, 2, 3, 1, 2 and 3. Then here there is another one in China. Then in here there is another one in China 1, China 2, China 3, right? So 1, 2, 3. Actually, there are 4 earthquakes occurred within the China region, right? 1, 2, 3. Here 3. Then here is also 1. No. Here is also there is a 1. So altogether 4. So if within Sumatra region only there were like 1, 2 and 3. But in China 1. So here 2. Here 3 and 4. There were 4 earthquakes there were 4 earthquakes which has happened within the China region, right? So we'll write down the answer. China should be our answer. Most earthquakes has happened in China. So there were 4 earthquakes within the recent past. Okay, 4 earthquakes, right? So now you are given with an assignment. So we have answered a question regarding the earthquakes. So over there we discuss what are the disastrous conditions has happened. I mean, regarding by using the number of deaths, we discussed like what kind of a disaster has happened within the region that has happened with an earthquake. So my dear children, I think you got the idea that when the Richter scale is somewhat greater than 7, right, what will happen? The disastrous condition is going to be very high. And the other thing is that, my dear children, within the region, especially within our Asian region, Sumatra and China region is more frequently having several earthquakes, right? So within the recent past, 4 earthquakes has hit China and 3 earthquakes has hit Sumatra region. Okay, right then. So let's see the assignment then. Find the tectonic plate borders of the above countries based on location and prepare a table. Seek assistance of your geography teacher if required. Example, Sumatra Island is located on the border between Indo-Australian plate and Eurasian plate. So now we have taken these countries. We have taken these countries as the areas where more frequent earthquakes are going to happen. No. Now, within this assignment, my dear children, you need to find out the, right, you need to find out the details. I mean, like, you know that these countries are located within a region that has more earthquakes. That's why these countries are suffering with earthquakes more frequently. So, the main reason for suffering with more frequent earthquakes is that these countries are located somewhat near to tectonic plates, right? Somewhat near to tectonic plate borders. So, what you have to do in here, right? So, as an example, actually you are given with an example. See, Sumatra Islands is located on the border between Indo-Australian plate. Can you remember Indo-Australian plate? Yeah. So, Indo-Australian plate is the plate where Sri Lanka is being located, right? So, it is also, I mean, like, when you take Indo-Australian plate, Sumatra Island is also located within the Indo-Australian plate and the Eurasian plate within the border, near the border between Indo-Australian plate and Eurasian plate, Sumatra Island. So, if you check the now other countries like this, Nepal, Afghanistan, Japan, Indonesia, Chile, Pakistan, Peru, China, Sumatra, Samoa Island. So, let's head on to see that ring of fire once more. See. So, this is the ring of fire. So, Chile is located like in here, no? So, you can observe the South American plate and Nazca plate. So, Chile is located between those two plates, my dear children. This is the region where Chile has located, right? So, between these two plates, you can observe the Chile. Then, if you take China, China is located over there, right? When you take it as a plate like this. So, as you can see here, the Eurasian plate is observed on here and the Pacific plate. So, Eurasian plate and Pacific plate is the other two plates which are in between the China region, my dear children. Eurasian plate and the Pacific plate. So, you can see actually the ring of fire actually runs through China. So, by looking at this particular map regarding the borders, right, between the tectonic plates, you can clearly identify the areas where earthquakes are going to happen. So, the areas or the countries that has most number of earthquakes, right, are also because they are having such kind of earthquakes or because these countries are located somewhat near to the tectonic plate borders. So, you can find out the tectonic plate borders of those countries by looking at this figure. So, I have told you two examples like the China and the Chile. So, it's your responsibility to find out the other things, my dear children. I'm going to hold up with by just giving out those two. I'm just going to hold up this thing. Then it's your main responsibility to find out just by studying these map, my dear children. And if you don't know the places where these countries are located, you can even use a world map. Then by using that world map and by using this image, you can find out the places, right, where the country is located by using the map. Then by using this particular map, you can find out the two tectonic plate borders, okay, the two tectonic plate which the country has been located on. Okay, so I hope that you will follow up with the lesson part and you will do that thing at your home, my dear children. It's your responsibility to study these things. So it's very important, right? So actually it's not necessary to get the idea of your geography teacher. You can just do this thing without any trouble. You just need to find out another world map, right, that has countries and towns, somewhat larger one. So by that way, you can pinpoint the countries given in here. then by taking this particular, the previous one, right, you can pinpoint these countries on that map, then take the map which is given in your textbook. So you can, compare the places and you can find out the tectonic plate borders. Quite easy. Okay, so I hope that you will follow up with this assignment and you may find out the other information. Okay, so it's your responsibility, my dear children. I hope that you will do it at your home. Okay, right, my dear children. Now that's about the assignment then. Okay, now let's head on to see the next content. So within the next topic, when you are reading out the next topic, my dear children, some of you might think that, are there any human activities that is going to result earthquakes? Of course there are, right? So now we are going to study what are the human activities that would cause earthquakes. There are some kind of human activities. Actually, now the technology has been developed up to that much of a level, my dear children. Because of the development of this technology and all the other advanced kind of machinery and equipments, what has happened is, now you know that earthquake is some kind of an extreme natural phenomena which is going to happen within our planet Earth because of the movement in tectonic plates. So huge amount of energy is being released from that place, or from a place where an earthquake is going to happen. So we need, like massive amount of energy, right? So some of you might think that kind of massive energy will not get introduced by human activities. Actually, there are some. So we'll be studying about those kinds of incidents which can result a certain earthquake in our planet Earth. But however, these incidents are artificial incidents. That means humans are the main reason for these kinds of things. So let's see what are those. So recently, scientists have observed that in addition to natural causes, some activities of human could also be reasons for the earthquakes. So like I said, reasons, there were, like most of the times, reasons are natural for an earthquake. But however, because of the technological development and the development of the science, sometimes, my dear children, some special activities will also result earthquakes. Number one given, testing nuclear weapons underneath the earth. So you know that when you take the, more powerful nations, right? Powerful nations in our earth. So they are testing nuclear weapons. So these nuclear weapons are they're going to possess large amount of energy. So the energy possessed by these nuclear weapons should be tested, right? So during the testing of these nuclear weapons also, right, what will happen? Sometimes seismic waves could create, or earthquakes may create, because of the large amount of energy possessed by these bombs or nuclear weapons. Next one, drilling earth to great depths to mine oil and minerals. So during the oil mining, right, up to great depths, right, sometimes, my dear children, artificial earthquakes might occur. Okay, there is a possibility. Next one, erecting dams and constructing large water reservoirs. So if a certain dam is being erected by blocking a certain water reservoir, then, my dear children, in that case also sometimes earthquakes might occur. Okay, the next one, constructing very large buildings of great heights and weights. So constructing very large buildings. So during the constructions of very large buildings, sometimes, my dear children, earthquakes will occur. Okay, so these are several human activities or artificial activities that would result in earthquake. Okay, right. So, my dear children, within this lesson part, we have studied about the intensity of the earthquakes and the disasters that the earthquakes can give to us. Especially, we measured the disastrous conditions by using the Richter scale, right? And the instrument which used to measure this thing was referred as the seismography, right? That particular process is referred as the seismography. Seismograph is the instrument which we use to measure the scale of an earthquake, right? So I hope that you got the idea about the earthquakes and how to measure out the intensity and what would be the disastrous condition according to the Richter scale of an earthquake. Okay, so with that thing, my dear children, I'm going to finish up this chapter. Within our next chapter, we'll be discussing a fresh new natural disaster about the tsunami waves. So till then, right, till then, I hope that you will follow up with the assignments which are given previously, right? And my dear children, it's very important to do those stuff, right? So you go ahead and find out those details, and we'll go for the next one, and we'll discuss about the tsunami waves in our next chapter.
To watch these important lessons, subscribe to DP Education's YouTube channel right now. Click on the bell icon to stay updated on the latest lessons. Sri Lanka's largest free online school, DP Education.